afternoon, everybody. My name is Amy Pumphrey. I'm a career consultant right across the hallway in the Career and Testing Center. So if you guys need resume critiques, mock interviews, come over there and see what services that we offer. Today we have our college business alumni panel, and we have Mr. McKee with Star Graphics, Mr. Joel Foxworth with Third Coast Bank, and Phillip Dillow with Patriot Security. And I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to introduce yourselves, and then we'll open up the floor for questions.
Start me?
Yeah, sure.
Hello, my name is Mark McKee. I'm a sales manager at Star Graphics Inc. here in Beaumont, Texas. We're the largest seller and service provider of office equipment. Our kind of coined phrase is office equipment specialists, be it copiers, printers, mailing systems, anything that you would basically find in a print shop, we have a solution for. So we take pride in being a one-stop shop, for all that. Wasn't too long ago that I was right in your seat, and I graduated in 2008, from Lamar University with a marketing degree. So Dr. Sen wrote me my job recommendation letter for the job that I'm working today. So proud to be here, and best of luck to all you guys.
My name is Joel Foxworth. I'm the Beaumont Market President for Third Coast Bank. My day-to-day, I do primarily commercial lending, but oversee all the functions of our location. It's a Third Coast Bank is an independent bank. We're headquartered in Humble, Texas. We've got about 5 locations throughout Texas. Growing bank, works through various large holding company banks, and had the opportunity to hook up with Third Coast and grow an independent bank. It's been a lot of fun. I'm a Lamar guy. I got my bachelor's in finance in 01 and my MBA here at 03. Played tennis for the university. Served on the athletics board of directors here. Love Big Red. Happy to be here.
Guys, I'm Phil Dillow. I work at Patriot Security. My official title is Customer Relations, but I do everything from sales to website to you name it. I got to talk to some of y'all before we got started. My first 4-year is a degree in marketing. My second 4-year degree is a joint major in economics and finance. There we go. I got my MBA a couple of years after. It's in entrepreneurship. It was one of the best experiences of my life.
All right, guys. We're going to open up the floor for questions. So whenever you ask a question, just raise your hand, and I'll recognize you. Okay. First question. Somebody's got a question. Got a question.
Well, Mr.
Me?
Yeah.
And Mr. Me. How's it going?
Sorry. I wanted to know, as far as the entrepreneurship degree, where does that lead you? Like, are you limited in certain areas with that degree? Or
No, not one iota. An MBA is the name itself. It doesn't really matter what you get your MBA in, unless you're going on to get your CPA. After that, an MBA is an MBA is an MBA. So I would tell you that what you get your MBA in doesn't matter so much if you're a generalist like myself. I didn't know what type of job I was going to have, where I was going to go, what I was going to do. Just having those 3 letters opened the door. So what does the entrepreneurship provide me with? A lot of neat experiences, because unlike some of the other theory-based or mathematics-based MBA programs, we actually got to meet a lot of local business owners. We got to work with Jeff Dyson a lot, which if any of y'all had the chance to do that, Jeff's amazing. Things like that. So it was really a neat experience to actually have some practical stuff going on in my MBA.
I just want to ask, probably everybody wants to answer. You always know what field of business that you want to go into?
With me, yes. I mean, just some of it is just inherited from my dad was in sales, and there's a lot of personality involved with that. But I mean, I knew that in the realm of business, I started out as a general business major, and then kind of geared towards the marketing aspect. The company that I work for now, I'm in business-to-business sales, which is entirely, as all business majors know, B2B is much different than B2C. So I knew that I wanted to be in sales. I knew I wanted a marketing degree, learning different facets of, everything about a business, and the way to, different, what's the proper terminology whenever you're talking about, your brand image, whenever it comes to all aspects of marketing, various media that you use, certain consumer buying patterns, all of that. Those are certainly applied, every day of my career. So, but yes, I didn't know early on.
I had an idea. I knew I wanted to do something in the finance realm. I didn't know if it would be in banking or in insurance. Right out of high school, I worked as a teller at a bank, and I was fortunate that some of the executives brought me in and kind of gave me some good advice early and helped direct me. And for any of you that are trying to have an idea of what you're going to do, if you have anybody that can mentor you, whether it's in the direction where you're going or just give you that advice, it's worthwhile. It really can help you. I would not be where I'm at if I hadn't had somebody tell me these are the steps if you want to go in banking that you need to go if you want to be in this type of career.
That's great advice. Yes and no. I knew I wanted to be in business. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Then I found myself in a wonderful door-to-door sales job, and here I am. So that's kind of what shaped me towards that.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
What is a typical work day for you guys?
In the same way, start with you. We'll just
Start with me. My job role is a little different than what I expect of my sales reps that are out in the field. I'm not only the sales manager for one of our divisions there, also handle our Greater Beaumont area. I'm a selling sales manager. Handle our Greater Beaumont area. Handle Lamar University's actually one of our named accounts that I handle. So in our realm of outside sales, I mean we're setting up appointments. We're visiting with a lot of businesses. We're out knocking on doors. I mean, so we're in the office at the beginning of the day, or and at the end of the day. But that meat and potatoes, we call them our selling hours. We're out in front of the customer. We're visiting with them on that. Naturally there's some rapport that that needs to be built for that new customers. But Star Graphics company I work for is pretty well known around our region, but we're still out there hunting for new business. So we call them the hired guns, our sales force. So we don't necessarily send anybody off site for some training on that. We like to help them adapt to our culture that we have at Star Graphics, and lead by example there.
So my day-to-day has changed with this dude. Used to be, they had the old adage about banker towers. Doesn't exist anymore. The day-to-day for me is all over the place. One day I may be working on a marketing campaign where we're putting billboards throughout the area. My role as market president, most of the days I spend either servicing my clients, taking care of loan requests, soliciting new loan requests, visiting customers. To do my job as a commercial lender, it's 50% social and 50% nerd. I like to say I'm an undercover nerd. You do a lot of analysis, and you got to look at the financial statements. You got to look at the loan requests. You got to look at what they're doing, see if you can make it work. But at the same time, you got to have social skills to be able to have that customer like you and say, yeah, I want to do business with you because there's 10 other banks that are selling the same loan I'm selling. Our rates and terms aren't going to be that different. And so you have to have a social aspect. You do a lot of civic things. You do a lot of things in the community so that when somebody needs a loan request, they think of you.
Both these guys are great answers to that. Kind of like you, whenever I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I grab my cell phone and I go through the emails from the night before. One of the things that stinks about my business is it's a 24/7 business. Security and fire doesn't quit happening just because 5 o'clock hits. After that, I get to go to work and I get to make posts on the company Facebook, the company Pinterest, and the company YouTube. Then depending on what's going on, I could be out in the field knocking doors, training somebody. I could be doing some type of marketing. Once you reach a certain level in your job, you got to wear a lot of different hats. That's kind of what you heard from these two guys. And probably the biggest thing you could, to answer that question about what's your average day like, is if you're going to get into management, your average day is going to change every day. And you got to be ready to rise to that challenge and take on whatever your boss tells you. Because I'm sure y'all both experienced, boss walks in, I need blah, you're my guy. You have no idea anything about that. It's on you to make it happen. So there is no average day at a certain point.
Two more questions. The lady in green, gentlemen, did you have a question?
Yes.
You had a question. So we'll do it in that order.
Did you get your MBA directly after getting your undergrad, or did you have to field first?
I took a semester off. I was working the whole time through my MBA, and it was really challenging to do that. But if you can, I highly recommend it. It caused me to grow so much more. The days were extremely long, and it was a sacrifice, but it helped me because for me, honestly, my bachelor's degree was a lot of theory, but being in the workforce and getting my MBA at the same time, there was a lot of application, and so I grew and learned so much more. And some of it was just matured. I matured. It meant more to me. But I took a semester off and went right in.
Me too. No, I did the same thing. I took a semester off. I went and tried to figure out whether I was going to stay at Lamar or if I was going to go off. During the time, I had a serious relationship, and it looked like we might move to another state. And then after the relationship ended, I came here.
Can I add to it? I commend these guys because I don't have a master's degree, but Dr. Sin always did a great job of encouraging me to get back in and get my master's. And I was of a different mindset that I was going to have a sales role, which there is a commission structure involved on that. So I thought that I could achieve the same level, if not higher, level of income without it. However, having what really kind of changed my mind about it whenever I started handling our Lamar University account and dealings with top level administration. It was Dr. Greg Lassen, who was the former VP of Operations and Finance, and his take on it was the participation in the MBA program. What you actually achieve is just a higher level of thinking, basically, that you apply to your everyday business life, and so that meant a lot to me, and so that's something that I'd like to pass along to you guys.
It's definitely a stress test, getting your MBA. You'll learn what your breaking point is. You'll love it, though.
It's one of the best decisions I ever made.
Yeah.
It really was. It was challenging because of the time you invest in it. But absolutely, the return on it is far worth the temporary sacrifice.
And a question up here.
Okay. I was just going to ask if, have y'all, like when you were getting your jobs, did you get into upper management before you got your degree, like kind of like a supervisor role maybe? Or did you get your degree and then kind of work up from there?
Well, me and, my fellow salesperson down at the end, I was a boot out selling door to door up until about a year ago. What about you?
Yeah, I started out as a rep. Our job doesn't exactly require a college degree, although it helps big time. Trust me, because I think there's some fundamentals that you learn in the classroom that aren't taught out there on the street. I was just our standard rep until for about my first 9 months there. Had some opportunity that opened up for me, and I was able to step up to the plate and handle business accordingly. So there's a lot of maturity involved. I think when it comes to earning those management roles, and different level of thinking, just like you mentioned before. So, yeah.
It was entry level for me as well. It was you had to earn your stripes before you got a lending desk, and that was a couple-year process. Most of the time I was in the MBA program. I think the last 6 months I finally got a lending desk, and then it took me
for all of y'all, since, you know, there's different jobs, but what, like, job search method did you use? Because I'm, like, right out of graduation, you know, that's something I would want to know, like, how, you know, do you know where to look at, or what steps y'all take?
So Al Gore just invented the internet, whatever.
Well, I mean, I would use
I was
that too,
in-
probably.
I got into business finance, and I graduated right when the tech bubble busted. And there weren't a lot of finance jobs out there, or jobs that I wanted to take. That was a hard sell, because everybody's stock portfolios were on the decline. I literally interviewed 27 times
And you earned it. Wow.
before I got my first job.
27 times, 14 years later, I mean, none of that sounds so encouraging.
I mean, I'm not going to tell you, but if I told you what I earn now, it was worth it. I mean, nobody's going to give you anything. You got to earn it.
Well,
I mean,
sure.
if you want to have a great life, go make it for yourself.
Right.
I mean, that's the biggest disillusion that you can get out of college, is to think that you got a diploma from Big Red, and somebody wants to pay you 6 figures because you smile pretty and you did your tour of duty.
Everybody thinks that once they get their degree, they're probably going to get a job, right? And if you get an MBA, by God, you definitely got a job. He's right. It's not true.
But if you get out there and you hustle and you show up and you do your job and you have a good attitude, you're going to make it happen for yourself.
Yeah, my experience with it, I mean, I graduated in December of 2008, which was, you know, I was going to school and I was bartending at night, you know, and on the weekends, which was a whole different lifestyle altogether. When you get off of work on a Wednesday or Thursday morning at 5 in the morning, you got an 8 o'clock class on Thursday. I mean, that was pretty rough, but I did it, and I think I'm better for it. But that was, the job market was at its worst, you know, when I graduated. And I was not only, you know, competing with some of my fellow graduates on getting a job, but there's also people that have been out there, you know, that were jobless, interviewing for the same positions that had years of experience on them. So, you know, it was tough, but, you know, I stayed the course. SoutheastTexas.com, you know, is one of my avenues to, you know, find certain job postings on there to answer your question on that. And then, you know, participate in other networking events that are around. I mean, if you find Chamber of Commerce, Better Business Bureau, other little networking, you know, organizations, it's a great way to get your name out there. You're out there to sell you, qualify yourself, you know, for that, and that would be some advice to.
Your network is going to be a big part of it.
Yeah.
I have 2 brother-in-laws that graduated from here just a couple of years ago. I know the owner of his company. I called him, and they work for his company. Actually worked for Mark.
So, all I really have to add to that is, if you want to test yourself, and this is really for any of y'all, you know, nothing will break you down and to see, you know, let you know how bad you want to make money and how bad you want to succeed, is if you work in sales or you work in service. You know, having to wait on people, having to sit there and, you know, have them tell you how it is and make nothing and have to live off tips, or do what I did, going door to door, business and residential, selling security systems. You know, you live on a commission structure of some type, and you'll get over any fear you have about jobs or interviews or whatever else, because you'll develop the confidence you need, because, hey, you did it. You know, I made 40 grand a year selling $100 security systems. You know, I mean, there's something to that. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You teach that with your reps. So if you wanna see what you're made of, go out there and sell knives door to door. You know, go get a job doing something, you know, C2C, selling credit card processing machines or whatever. You know.
He's spot on with that. I mean, when it comes to, it's the test of your resilience. I mean, you put yourself outside of your comfort zone. I mean, you know, if it's going through an interview process. I mean, I still remember one of my friends that he went to an interview. He knew that, I mean, he still, you know, did his best, but he kind of expected not to get the job. But I think what he gained out of that was the experience. So, you know, man, you know, some guys, I don't tend to ask tough interview questions there, but at the same time, don't get me wrong, I mean, I still, we have a rigorous process in order to get the, you know, the right candidate. And I'm more attracted to people that are career-oriented, not just, hey, I need a job, you know, that type of stuff.
I'm going to piggyback off of what they're saying. For you students who are about to graduate or looking for an internship, utilize us in career services. We do mock interviews, we do resume critiques, we put on things like speed networking and speed interviewing that Phillip participated in last week. So you have that opportunity to network with those businesses and attend career fairs and kind of interface with those employers so that it's not foreign and maybe not scary to you. Okay? You have a question? And I got you.
All right, for my question for you guys, all of y'all pretty much said that you, in the past or presently, y'all are sort of like nerds in a way. I wish I would consider myself
I
a
never
nerd.
said that.
He's a bartender. Under the cup.
All right, with that experiences and mentality, how would you say someone who's not into books? Like I have my associates from Foraker. I'm halfway through my bachelor's. I got a year left before I finish, and I feel that I haven't gotten anything from college.
What do you want to do?
I get paid to be from the GI Bill.
What?
I get paid to be here from the GI Bill.
Okay. So I mean, what do you want to do? I mean, you have to have some type of idea where you want to go. What year are you? Sophomore, junior?
I'm a senior.
You're a senior.
And I'm currently I'm working security for government security.
Okay. Rock on.
Yeah, and I'm looking at traveling jobs right now.
Okay.
I'm actually in limbo with that one. I picked business degree because it's very broad,
Right.
and went for industrial engineering as a minor because it sounded cool.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
currently,
there's a pretty good avenue that I'm sure that Amy can assist with on like some career testing. Is it like it's not necessarily, is it an aptitude type test or something
It's
there?
an interest and
Yeah,
values.
right. And it can provide you some suggestions as to like, you know, given your personality or your, you know, hobbies or whatever, anything that, you know, that you like here are some suggestions for you that you may be attracted to. But, you know, on the flip side to that, you know, I'm sure all of us have been in different seminars or, you know, seen videos or, you know, some people that have been successful in business and they've said, well, they've tried out various things. You know, even some of the most successful people on the planet, you know, still to this day, they don't know what they want to do for a living. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, and I have to agree with y'all. In the service industry, I was a waiter. I also did sales, and I'm really good at it. I just don't like it.
Well, you got what you need. You know, you get a degree, but you've obviously got some type of experience. You know, I think when Ryan, sorry, I was about to play Ryan's game. I'm sorry, man.
all right. We can pass.
I hear Star Graphics and I just clicked to that. You know, you gotta start get some flavor in there. Go out and try some stuff. The other thing is, you know, don't limit yourself. I never wanted to be a salesperson. I was getting a degree in finance because I wanted to go on and get my CFM or something like that. I never wanted to do what I do, but I love what I do. You know, so don't let a good opportunity or something that you're unsure about, you know, pass you by. That'd probably be advice I'd give to everybody.
Yeah, and just to add a little further to it, I mean, this was just one of the things that I told myself before getting out. I wanted to start a career. Hey, what am I going to do? I'm unsure of it. Hey, okay, maybe it's the sales profession. Hey, you know, maybe you can make some money doing that, but you know, what company? So, and that's where I kind of narrowed it down to, okay, well, number one, you know, I've got to like my job. You know, I've got to respect the people that I work for, and I've got to, you know, respect and appreciate the product and service, you know, that I'm selling, and back that with, you know, added customer support. So, and I achieved that with the company that I work for, and I've got, you know, some long-term goals there. So,
One other thing for you and everyone else, I mean, ask a lot of questions. Ask other people what they do, and kind of back to your question on how do you find that job, or ask your professors. A lot of times in the business community, you know, if I need a new credit analyst, I'll call Tommy Thompson or one of the finance guys and say, hey, you know, who you got that one may have the academic, but two has a personality where they'll be able to do the job. So when you go to class, you know, don't just put your head down and fall asleep. from undergraduate. But what opportunities could have been there for me if I'd have put a little more effort in it?
I had a question up here, but I have.
Okay, my situation is a little different. I've already been in my field for 5 years. I already have my degree, and I work in a hospital, and I'm trying to get out of it. So this is my second degree. I'm going to be done next May, and I'm trying to decide if I want to go for my master's. But my question is, what is your opinion on a double master's program? Would that be beneficial, or is it just enough to get one master's degree?
A double master's in a similar field, or?
It's actually a double master's program. It's an MBA, and it's a master's in industrial occupational psychology.
You like Red Bull?
I actually don't like Red Bull. I like Monsters, but only
Well,
Red Bull.
The point of my joke is, and you can echo me on this, man, it's a ton of work, and especially if you have to work while you're doing your MBA.
I work night
And,
shifts.
you know, what you just said is so poignant. You know, you can make C's or you can make A's. You can get nothing or you can get something. You know, you see whenever you're out looking around at MBA programs, there's a lot of MBA combo JDs, law degrees, and a lot of other combo MBAs. And if you're not going to work and you're going to be 110% school, and you're going to make that sacrifice, yeah, go try it, go do it. Awesome. But not everybody has that luxury, you know, to have something bankrolled like that. So, yeah, a lot of it depends on your situation in life. It would be a powerful package. I mean, the more stuff you have on your resume, the more ink weight you have. You know, there's a copier term for you. The better off you're going to be. But there comes a point where you're, I mean, are you adding it to accomplish something, or are you just adding it to add it?
I'm really interested in industrial occupational psychology. The only problem with it is that all the research I've done on it is they won't take you unless you actually have an MBA with it.
I know when I got my MBA and worked at the same time, it was 16, 18 hour days. Yeah.
Right.
For two years, I took every summer session, every mini session. I was tired. I didn't, it's kind of funny, I found out that they had reality TV after. I didn't even know, I mean, I couldn't watch TV. I mean, I would wake up, I would go to work, I would leave work, I would come here, my supper would be a Snickers bar and a Coke from the little machine right here. I wouldn't eat dinner until I got home, probably about 9:30, and then I had to do homework, I had to read, I had to prepare. I know I'm scaring the hell out of you. But I don't know. I know my capacity, and only you can know your capacity. I couldn't have handled two at one time.
The other thing is that some days work comes before school. I remember I was at, Mr. Luke's was his name. I was at his house, and the install went horribly wrong. And I had to choose between a happy client and a happy boss and a happy paycheck, or going to class. You know, and having to deal with those forces hitting, you know, what's more important, your school or your money? You know, and that adds a whole other dynamic to it. Matt, you got anything?
Funny thing is, I answered my Mark old man.
Mark?
Hey, you.
I got old brother Mike, younger brother Matthew, Mark, Luke, John.
Mark, I'm so sorry.
No worries.
Oh, wow.
No worries.
And do you have any experience with it? And is it a good avenue to take as far as getting that endurance that you have to talk about?
It's financial consultation, is that right?
It's a multitude of things.
Okay.
It's insurances and up to financial situations. They're supposed to be supposedly a Christian company. And they have these huge seminars where they get all the reps and travel.
So that was one of my 27 interviews was with PFS right out of school. To me, it looked like a multi-level marketing. Your boss was making off of you, and I knew people that went through there and they churned through. If you have grind and you can stay, it's a company where you can make good money. It was a sales job, and I do sales, and I'm okay with sales. I feel like I'm pretty good at sales, but I went in and they wanted you to pay for your own licensing. They wanted to pay for some of the things that, if that's a requirement of the job, I felt like you believe in me this much, you're wanting to hire me, you're wanting me to provide you with income, you're gonna pay for my licensing. I'll do it. If I don't make the grade, I'll pay for it. But if I pay for it, I didn't like some of the way they had things set up, so I declined the job.
That's what because I'm in it, but I haven't played with it in a while. Like, I'm supposed to be the part of it, but I kind of steered away. My stuff at school mark, and I don't know. It's kind of a turn off. But I was interested because how they sold me.
Yeah, they sell it. You're gonna make lots of money.
So you gotta be careful with any of those jobs. My industry's horrible about it. You know, you look at Vivint, you look at ADT, you look at Front Point, you know, some of the biggest companies in the industry, and they're doing the same thing. You come in, you're gonna make all this money. You know, we're gonna get 3 guys underneath you. You're gonna make a percentage off of them. Anytime you start hearing those things, you need to leave because it is a scam. Yeah.
How long after you graduated did y'all actually find a job? And when you were seniors, did you start applying, you know, a couple months before your graduation or that semester? Because I'm currently a senior and I'm kind of facing this challenge right now.
I'll be glad to answer, but mine's gonna be much different from yours, probably.
Sounds great, Mark.
Yeah, thanks. I didn't give you my card.
I'm so sorry.
It's all good. It's going to be a long-winded answer, but I mean, I graduated high school in 1998. So I'm like, I started college in the 90s. Okay. I went to school at Stephen F. Austin for a year and a half. Started dating a girl and went back home. I was out of school for a good period of time because, I started paying for my own school and I'd go for one semester, I'd take off a semester. Then I'd go for, well, it wasn't really working that way. And I became a corporate trainer for Outback Steakhouse, restaurant, bar. I was out for a long period of time. Then I started bartending downtown on Crockett Street. That was, it was in the high volume days. We'd get off really late and I'd come to school. And it allowed me to get back in and finish my degree. And they knew up front, all my managers said, as soon as I graduate, hey, I'm finding something to be down here. Well, that last senior year, or the semester that I had, and plus, the hours that I was working, I went to a few job interviews, and mainly just to gain experience, because I knew the way that the market was shaped. It was at the bad part of the job market, and every year, and in Southeast Texas, because sometimes we sustain, a little bit longer than most people in the nation. But I did enjoy a little bit of just like not going to school, because I did the summer school 1 and 2, and then the winter minis and all of that. So. It depends on, what your aspirations are. At that time, I just, I had the luxury of having a few weekdays off, and I was working weekends, so I sacrificed that. So I got my job. I graduated in December of 2008. I got hired on at Star Graphics. It was October of 2009. So
I started applying around this time, around April. I graduated in May. I landed a job at the end of July, so it's about 3, almost 4 months. Went on a lot of interviews during that time. A couple of things to tell you is utilize the resource of them scrubbing your resume, and them helping you with interviews. I'm in a position where I hire people now, and I don't base everything off a resume, but if a resume is no good, I'm not going to give them a great shot at hiring them. I ran into, at that point, I finally got to the place where I knew I wanted to do banking. And so my resume was very banking focused, but there were some other opportunities I was looking at that was not in banking. And so whenever I'd go out and interview for these jobs, and by the time I'm getting into the 20s on these interviews, I'm like, I'm ready to take anything. I had trouble because it was very specific. So another recommendation I'll give you is when you're putting your resume is don't submit the same one if it's custom tailored to an industry. If you're looking healthcare, make it healthcare. But don't submit a healthcare to a sales position or to an accounting job. Take the time to tweak your resume to make it to whatever you're applying for.
That's brilliant advice. Mine's a little bit different than probably most of you. My parents started a company called Picture Security, the company I worked for. At 16, I was told that I was a guard, and I became a guard. And I was a guard up until I was about halfway through college, and they gave me a choice. I could either stay a guard, I could become an attic rat, which means a technician. I'd run wire every day in attics, day in, day out, 8 to 5, or I could be a door-to-door salesperson. Well, I always envisioned myself as not exactly being a people person, so I became an attic rat. And I spent 90 days running wire in our wonderful summer, and then decided sales sounded amazing. And I've done that up until here about a year ago, where finally, after some wrangling and some begging and some proving, I got made interim sales manager and now sales manager. So I'm a little bit on from some of what you guys are going to have to go through.
Any other questions?
This is for you. Whenever you get a resume, when you get a resume, it doesn't have a whole lot of experience on it. What's something that would make it stand out?
So, when I get a resume, I want it to be concise. Don't have any grammar issues. Don't have any, I don't want a lot of personal. If it's short, because you don't have a lot of experience, that's fine. The biggest thing is making it look professional, making it accurate. For me, I don't want to know that you made a B in human resources and you're applying for a banking job. One, that's not impressive. I don't have a problem that you may be with it, but you're not impressing me with that. So don't tell me about you being average. I want you to ring the bell, so to speak, because you're selling yourself in an interview, and so it's important that it's accurate, it's grammatically sound, and that you sell yourself in the best light you can. So if you don't have a lot of experience, you do have personality traits, or maybe you can put in there, and not cliche hard work. If you're not a hard worker, I don't want to hire you anyways. But if there's some things that you truly excel at, maybe you put something there. Or it gives me something as a discussion point in an interview. See, you put this on there, critical thinking. Give me an example, and you have an example that you can rattle off. Because I'm going to put a whole lot more weight on an in-person. But if the resume is no good, we're probably not even going to get to that place.
I got a follow-up question for him to add to that. So references, y'all check references? You call them references? And because I certainly do. And another piece of advice on your resume is, if unfortunately, it's an extended amount of time, you've hit up several interviews, until you do land just a major opportunity. Make sure that you have contacted your references. And, I always kept the people that I had on there, hey, I let them know I have a job interview at, XYZ company. So, they can expect that phone call. I find like, what? Who are you with? What's going on?
Yeah.
That type of stuff. So
Another thing
that means that they're serious about that job opportunity.
on there, and I said this last year when Amy was like, if you have a social media page, make sure you're not butt naked on it and being a fool, because your employer's probably going to, potential employer's going to check it.
That's the first thing I check every time.
And, if you are an idiot and you have that, make it private, but don't think about what you're doing, because we live in a different world, and it's a digital age, and your information's out there, and employers are going to check that.
Yep. Just to add on a little further too, with the knowing your audience, like he was, expressing, one of the big things that it means so much to me is doing a little bit of company research, knowing who that company is. Go on their website, look at something about their business, because if you're really serious about this, you're going to need to know that type of stuff. And then for instance, a sales job, we handle proposals. We present our customer, prospect, whoever, a legitimate business proposal that has to be aesthetically pleasing, and it has to be organized and everything. Do the same thing with your resume. tailor that, to your audience there.
Any questions?
How important would you say like getting experiences while you're in college, doing internships and things like that?
Crucial.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think it helps you, and I think it helps your potential employer. I think it's beneficial.
So that's definitely like a major thing that employers look at.
Like Joel just said a second ago, I don't care that you made a B in accounting. What does that mean to me?
Right.
I care that you went and you worked at another copier company and you sold X amount of units and maintained the job for X social or whatever accolades you got while you were there. That's tangible. Abstracts mean nothing. There's that as air. Something solid, something that proves to me I'm making a good decision, that my name isn't on the line from hiring you. That's what we want.
A lot of job offers come through internships too. If you get in there and you do a good job, a lot of times that turns into a position.
Any other questions?
I'm just curious for Phillip.
Yes.
You said your parents, they own the place that you work at.
Yeah.
So why did you go, like, if you've always had a job there since you were 16 and you've worked your way up, why did you go through all this of school when you could have just...
Because I didn't want to be a guard for the rest of my life, and that's what was on the table for me.
So
And
you're
the
saying your
next-
parents wouldn't have offered you more if you would have went to school?
I don't call my parents mom and dad, I call them Ken and Ken. So, if any of you who get that or have that type of relationship, you understand that. My job offers were technician, which I did. My personal opinion, I did very well as a technician. Being a guard, which a guard it's a great job. You make a good living. There's some wonderful people who are security officers. I wanted more. The third job offered to me was to go out and be a door-to-door salesperson, which I wasn't very thrilled about, but it was a lot better than crawling around in attics or, basically having my brain go numb sitting in a guard post. And that's what was afforded to me. I was never the kid who woke up and said, "Hey, you graduated high school, congratulations, you're vice president." It was never that. My dad, he didn't have a very easy life. He was one of 7 kids, and he had to prove himself every step along the way. He worked in sales for a company called Burns for most of his life, and then after that, he did nothing but sales until he started the company. And I worked in Patriot before it was legal for me to work in Patriot, doing filing, answering the front desk, you name it. So basically, my dad's philosophy is, or Ken's philosophy is, I wouldn't give them to me. Why should I give it to you? Who are you? What do you matter?
I was just curious.
Yeah. So, I didn't want to stay at Patriot because of the hurt feelings between me and my dad of not being given a little bit of slack, being told that you're on a commission structure. You're 80% commission, 20% salary. I hope you can make your truck bill. I wanted a better job. Yeah. Yeah. So I went on. I got more education so that I could go off. And like I said, originally I wanted to be an accountant, and I fell in love with sales after I got over my hate for my parents. Well, that's a true story. So I hope that kind of answers your question. Basically, I wanted something better than being what I was, and I ended up loving what I was and becoming successful at it. And I had to prove myself to 3 other different managers before they finally gave me a shot, because the other side of the father-son relationship is you're always a kid, no matter what you do. So,
Any other questions?
I have a question. As far as experience on your resumes, because I've been in a management position since I was pretty young, like almost right out of high school, and I've done anything from managing a pawn shop, which is extremely diverse, and then all the way going into construction and being in the office to working in HR. And I know that you, Phillip, said something about when you look at a resume, you look to see if they, have other security,
something
positions.
that's concrete to mine, something of value.
Yeah, what advice would you say to, even though they're all management, it's like in extremely different fields?
Well, this is probably a better question for Joel. I hire salespeople. If you're here for 60 days, 90 days, if I can keep you for a year, I think that's amazing. But if you don't, whatever. That's the industry. I work in door to door. It's good commission, but it's a low money sell because I'm selling a commodity security systems. So Joel, I'm going to pass that one to you actually, bud.
Yeah, I love it. It shows me that you have been given positions of authority and that you held those positions. So doesn't matter that it was in different areas. It means that, one, you either sold yourself good enough to get into that position or two, you earned it. Either way, I like that. And I look at it as a positive because, you realize when you hire someone right out of school, they're not going to know the insides of the industry if they haven't already worked in it, and even then they're going to have a limited amount of experience. So I want to know what their aptitude is, and that shows a great aptitude for you that you've had those experiences.
Any other questions?
I got a comment to add, also, I just, I feel compelled to just provide as much advice, great advice as possible, and I hope it's good. I don't work for a Fortune 500 company, and I don't have sellout crowd seminars, but I think I have some legitimate advice to give. And when it comes into that interview process, you just know, I know as the interviewer, within the first few minutes, what type of person that I'm dealing with. Now, I've had experience from meeting with, a lot of, people, but just know that, you have to have that sizzle right out of the gate, whenever you get there. That you're showing some sort of initiative, that you're, that you have that motivation, you're a go-getter. Those are some hot buttons that are really going to, separate you from the pack, if you will. So, that would be, some additional advice.
A lot of practical things along with that. If you're going to a white collar job interview, have your shoes shine, have your hair cut, tie. If you don't know how to, go on YouTube. There's over 7 million hits. You'll learn. If you're a lady, have your fingernails done. It sounds practical, and it is. It's don't get there and slouch down and what's up, yo? I want this job.
That's exactly right. Body language says so much. Looking someone in the eye. All of that stuff.